tears are what bathe your soul. You feel me? Tears are the bath that your soul needs. Everybody needs a bath.
I might need one tonight.
Come on.
Not having that vulnerability going both ways is sort of what like creates that line where it's like, I can cross this line, but you can't come into my and that disconnect right there just throws us off completely.
Yeah.
Is it okay for me to ask, are you vaccinated? Will that bring like
I feel like I would not put my hand up. I would not be as, like, I would not speak as much. I would not. And when we don't do that, like, people don't see our potential, you know?
Do it for Real Fridays, where you'll hear the brilliance, wisdom, and insights of young people who know what's good.
Okay, everybody, we're here together again for Real Fridays. You know what it is. One voice, one team. When I say one voice,
One
team. I don't even have to tell you what to do. You already know what it is. Okay, so we're going to use this. We're going to use this as a talking piece just so that we don't talk over each other. I want to make sure everybody gets their thoughts out. But I really wanted to talk about this because it's something that's happening right now. And I will say that this is going to be probably part one of two parts, because I know already before we even get started that this is going to be a deep conversation because it touches absolutely everybody in this room, right? And it touches it in a deep way, but I think it's still important that we talk about it because school is about to open up. You feel me? There's a lot going on. You feel me, Jada? And I feel like honestly we need to talk it out. Like, how do you feel going back into in-person? Let me just say this. When I give you the talking piece, you can talk, okay? If you don't have this, you can't speak. But I'm going to ask the question just out. How do you feel about going back to school in person right now? Like, is there an angst? Is there a, apprehension? Is there like a nervousness, anxiety, or are you excited? Like, what is really good? Who wants to start? Go ahead. You got the mic? Go ahead.
So for me, like, I had my first year in Laurier like 2 years ago. So I got that like a little bit of in-person experience, obviously.
Okay.
But every year is like a new year. So I take it as I'm going into first year every year. So I'm always kind of anxious, kind of nervous, see what class I'm taking. But this year is kind of big for me because this is my third year. And I'm looking at it like, like I got 2 more years left. That's it. And then I'm into the real world. Right?
Okay.
And then I'm taking in, like, I'm kind of anxious for sure because like the courses I selected are kind of hard. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm be able to be out there, but like in person is for sure gonna help me because I'm one of those people who likes having people around me. Like, I can't do this online stuff. Like, just having the screens are different than people. Like when you're out there with people, it's so much easier. You can have conversation with people. The teachers' emotions are like projecting off themselves. So for me, like, I'm kind of excited, kind of nervous, kind of anxious, but I'm like definitely ready to get back into it.
Cool. Thank you for that. I'll take that piece back. So let me preface it by saying this. We're coming out of a pandemic, right? And thank you for that, by the way, Charan. Like, we're coming out of a pandemic and there are some people that are feeling anxious about that. There are other people that are feeling anxious because of what he just said. Like, this is my third year. Even though I'm taking it as this is my first year, it's still like almost into the real world. There's a whole adjustment to that. There's a whole adulting that is about to come on your plate. How are you guys feeling? Who wants to go next? Come talk to me.
COVID hit when I was in grade 12. So I was supposed to go to my first year this past school year, but I took a year off because I felt like it was right for me. So I haven't been in school in almost 2 years now. Wow. And the other day I had to write a paragraph for camp. And when I tell you, I was this close to crying because I forgot how to form sentences. Like, I genuinely forgot how to write, and especially me going into English as my program, I'm really nervous. Like, I'm genuinely scared. And I don't know, but I have people there for me. I got Charan, I got Cam, I got Akash, I got bare people with me there at school. So I'm nervous, but I know I got people. So
cool. Anybody else want to take it on?
I'm going to my 4th year, and like the fact that it's my last year and I missed out on 2 years because of being at home and online and stuff. I'm definitely nervous. Anxiety is one of them. I think seeing people after not seeing people for this long is going to be so difficult. And also just the connection, like, we think that it's going to be back to normal, but we're all wearing masks. The fact that we're wearing masks just shows the disconnect. So I'm nervous about that. And I think just in general, the fact that it's my last year, like you said, going into the real world, it's going to be difficult. But excitement is also one of them because it just shows that we are moving forward and going towards a normal or a new normal. So
Okay. I like that. I like the fact that we have that perspective of we're going towards a new number, but like what that looks like is what brings anxiety at times, right? And I think that we downplay it. I know we have this mic in our hands right now, but let's just talk it like real. Like honestly, the pandemic has put a lot of stress on people, and we think we know how to connect to people. We think we know how to connect to each other, but we don't. Because when we were put aside from each other, we're like, oh no, I like this online thing. I rather this better. I get things done more. But then when we came back together, we don't know how to act. And there's a lot of people that are they felt depressed because they were away from their friends. They felt anxiety because they didn't know how to interact. Do I hug you when I see you? Do I shake hands with you? Do I high five you? Do I air five you? Like there's all of these, stipulations and connecting now, right? So that's another thing on top of the fact that you may have a totally different workload now. You know what I'm saying? So how do you feel like young people on a general level are going to be handling going back to school? Not necessarily you yourself, but like just generally speaking, how do you feel like, young people are going to be after the pandemic going back into school in person? What do you feel?
Appreciate you. I feel like kids kind of forgot how to interact with other kids. And you can see that when we are doing camp because they get really nervous or really anxious to turn their mics on. And I know that I see it in my little sister. She is so bad with people. Like she's good with her family, but when she's put into a setting where she's with other kids, like she's very much like, or because she's an iPad kind of girl. You know how everybody's on their iPads watching the TikToks and thing,
This is it.
So she's used to that. And now if she's going to go back in person, I just feel like she's going to be so anxious and they're young. They don't even know what those words mean, So now looking at it, she's going to be really anxious to go to school. Trying to make friends is going to be really, really challenging. The pandemic has definitely took a toll on a lot of our social interactions for sure. Because even now, like you just mentioned, I don't know if I'm okay to hug people. Like, am I okay to hug you? Can I high five you? Like, or is it the elbow thing? Like, I don't know what we're doing. So I feel like it's going to take a big toll. So
let's talk about that. What kind of toll do you think it's taken on your social? Like actually connecting with people and being able to be social and reconnect with people that you haven't seen in a long time. What toll has it taken on y'all? Anybody? Go ahead, give it to her.
Thank you. I feel like in terms of
Wait, what's your name?
Elovan. Thank you. I feel like trying to sort of like reconnect back to people is definitely going to be one of the harder things. Just like Kai and yourself had mentioned, is it going to be an elbow thing? Is it going to be an air five? And me personally, I love physical contact. Me air fiving you, that's not going to cut it. I feel like I'm not connecting with you if I do that.
See?
So like it's going to have to be a hug. It's going to have to be like a high five. It's going to be something. Anything physical will cut it. But again, with the COVID coming in and being play and us not being able to not even like physically see each other, but through screens, it's just gonna be that's gonna be one of the hardest things to sort of get back to, I guess, normal, I guess you could say.
Yeah. And you see how, thank you so much for that. So I'm going to go around in a second. We're going to just say our name and how we're connected to One Voice, One Team. But I want to say something about what he just said. He said it has to be something physical, right? Like that's how some people are. An event has to have like a high five, an elbow, or something, bump me, something. That might cause somebody else a lot of anxiety. You feel what I'm saying? Like, and we don't know why that's causing anxiety, but that might be. So now the way we connect, which is really fair because that's, maybe your physical touch love language, right? Elivan has to have a high five and he's high-fiving somebody who's anxious about giving a high five. There's no connection as far as he's concerned right there. So now he has to force himself to learn a different way of connecting. So then I guess the question I have for that then is how do you feel it's going to manifest? How do you feel like that lack of communication, a lack of not connection really, how do you feel like that is going to show up during school? Because it is going to pop up in different ways. How do you feel and what do you think that we need to do? But before we do that, just marinate on that for a second. Marinate. Let's go from that side and then just go around and say our name and how we're connected to One Voice, One Team.
My name is Elovan. I've been connected to One Voice, One Team in high school. They actually came out to our high school and did a bunch of things with us. They took us to Regen. things like that. Showed us what camp looks like for them. And ever since then, like I've been impacted by what they do, and I just want to be your representative. So yeah.
One question before you even pass it on. I should have asked this. Why do you feel connected here? Because that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about connection and how people feel the lack of connection, right? So what makes you feel connected here?
The thing that makes me feel connected here is definitely the environment. Unlike a lot of other places, this has definitely been an organic environment in terms of being with people, talking to other people. Everything I feel like has brewed organically, and nothing has felt forced. Nothing has felt like you have to do something. It's always been just that sense of comfort here that's made me feel very connected.
Thank you for that. Charn.
No worries. My name's Charn. I've been connected from middle school, so that's been a while. Like
Wow.
the Right to Play program came to Royal Orchard. If you know Royal Orchard, shout out to all the Falcons
Shout
out
out
there.
to Royal
You know what I
Orchard.
mean? Shout out to all the Falcons out there. But then after that, I got introduced by Miss Bowen to the RISE program. And then Orlando came and spoke to the class, and I really felt like the passion behind what he was speaking about. And then I came to work here for like, this is my 5th year here, I think. But I really feel like connected through the outreaches we do. Like I've been to every Habitat for Humanity, every soup kitchen we could do, everything we can do and we have done. I've been a part of, like, even if it just means like telling my like other job, because I work a second job, telling them like, you know, today I can't be here because I'm volunteering here.
Yeah.
You know, and I always felt like it's just the best thing for me is to give back to the community in some way or some shape or some form. Even if that's just like, you know, like in the soup kitchen down the street, you know, just cooking them eggs, even though they might be a little burnt. But you know,
It's
we're
okay.
working on that, you know.
It's
but
okay.
that's what I'm like really passionate about, is just the outreach. And when I get the opportunity to like get back into that Habitat for Humanity and the soup kitchen, like you'll definitely see me there. And whenever I get those opportunities, I feel just at peace, like, you know, just with myself, I guess you could say.
Cool. So we got organic environments and we got outreach. Tell us your name and why you feel connected here.
All right, my name is Hasina. I came to One Voice One Team this year, so it's my first year.
Hey, welcome.
I noticed One Voice One Team throughout, because I also went to Royal Orchard, so I noticed it throughout middle school and high school. I just didn't feel comfortable enough to actually participate or be a part of One Voice One Team. Luckily this year I am a part of it, and why I feel connected, I feel like I'm a huge believer in safe spaces. And I feel like the moment I came into the virtual call or interview, and then coming into the office, it was a safe space off the bat. And I feel like just the things that, you know, we promote, the fact that like we promote upliftment. So obviously it's going to be a safe space, but we want to, you know, teach you to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. That was a huge thing that I learned this year. So that's just what One Voice is, I guess.
Love it. Love it. Thank you. My name's Sherry. I've been with One Voice One Team for a minute now, since 2010. I do different things here. It doesn't even matter what my title is. I feel connected when I see young people come in here and see what their possibilities are. You know what I'm saying? When I see young people come in here and be like, oh, yeah, I could do that. Oh, yeah, I could do that. What else do I want to do? Yeah, I'm going to try that too. Like that stuff is what makes me feel connected to y'all. And also just the opportunities, creating opportunities for you guys so that you guys can actually pour into those opportunities and realize how amazing, brilliant, passionate, powerful you are. You know what I'm saying? To make a difference. That's what makes me feel connected to One Voice One Team.
Hello, my name is Kaya. How I got involved? I got involved because I actually knew a couple people here. I knew a lot of people before coming into here. Shout out Keandre. He texted me. And he's like, "Are you gonna apply for One Voice One Team?" And I was like, I don't know. So then he's like, "Okay, check the thing and like check it out, see if you can do it." And I did it. And then he was actually in my interview. Oh. So when I caught on, like my hair wasn't done or anything like that. So I wasn't expecting anybody else. Like I was just expecting a couple other people. And I saw Keandre and I was like, and he's like, "Yeah, you look like you just woke up." I said, "Maybe." But and a way that I feel connected is this feels like family. This feels like family to me. When I come in here, I work 2 jobs as well. I work at Sports Check. They actually treat me so poorly there. And to come here from Monday to Friday and just have good energy, good vibes, good people, to come in here and just feel like family, it hits different. Because then when I go back to Sports Check and I'm being treated differently by people who are customers, just like me, I'm doing a job for you. You know what I mean? So it feels like family. That's how I feel connected.
Nice.
My name is Lux. I got started with One Voice One Team when my sister joined years ago. I used to volunteer all the time, and then I started here. I did my co-op here 2 years ago, going into grade 12, and I absolutely loved it. And now I'm here again. Thank God. How I feel connected to OVOT is how we make people feel. It's a very big deal, especially for children who feel like they're always told that they're just children and they can't do much.
Yeah.
But knowing that we give them a voice, we let them know that they're heard, that they matter. Like the fact that, how do I say it? I feel connected because I know that I'm being somebody for them that I wish I had when I was younger. You know, so I feel like that's what One Voice One Team is about, and I couldn't be happier about what we do.
That's powerful. And the reason why, let's snap it out. I think the reason why I passed that back, I don't want to talk without the talking stick. But it's the reason why I asked that is because this is something that I don't feel necessarily children or young people get in school. Like there's a lack of connection sometimes that you feel in school. Like you go there and you're already feeling like, you know, if you're in grade 9, oh my gosh, I'm just starting out, who my friend's going to be, whether it be high school, middle school, elementary, or even college. There's this feeling of, am I going to be accepted? You know what I mean? And the strain of the pandemic has made that harder because it's like, how am I going to be accepted now? Right. And so that's what I want us to talk about, like the strain of the pandemic, going back into those spaces. You know, how do you feel like that's going to kind of manifest or disrupt the way they learn? Or maybe not. I don't know. Just, you understand what I'm trying to ask you? Like, how do you think it's going to pop up?
I feel like the thought of, oh, what does this person think of me is just going to be amplified.
Yeah.
So, you know how we were talking about, like, you know, you need physical touch to be able to connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be questioning, like, oh, well, how will this person think if I do this?
Right.
How will they think if I go for a hug? Should I wear a mask? Like, should I not wear a mask when I'm going into the car with someone or whatever? So we're just going to constantly be thinking of like, oh, what should I do? What shouldn't I do? Questioning our thoughts just to kind of like make sure that the other person doesn't think differently of you.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we're like, growing up, we're always taught, oh, just do whatever you feel, you know, whatever you're comfortable with. Don't really just don't care about what other people think. But that's going to come back because we're going to like constantly think, okay, how is Charan going to feel if I come into his car without a mask? You know, does he feel comfortable with me not having a mask? Even just like asking, like, is it okay for me to ask, are you vaccinated? Will that bring like a new topic? Like, is that going to trigger something? So we're just constantly going to be overthinking about every little thing we do.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Luxana, talk to me. Let me just say this before you. I think that's so key that what you just said, because it's one thing to say, you know, don't worry about what people say, whatever. Now you're forced to. And then even that question, do I even ask you, are you vaccinated? Because there are some people that can't be vaccinated. So then do they feel less than if you say you're not vaccinated? Does that make you, are we already creating an us and them vibe? It already feels like us and them sometimes when you go into certain spaces. So now on top of it now, oh, I'm vaccinated and you're not. So now we already are us and them. Is that what we're creating? And so there's going to be another question to follow this up, but, Hala.
When it comes to, like children and learning, I feel like adaptation is a human nature. We tend to obviously go with the flow in order to survive. When it comes to teaching, I feel like myself, I'm a loud, outspoken person. I'm very outgoing and I'm very extroverted. But I feel like if I go into school, if I were to sit in a classroom right now, I'm not going to be the same. I feel like since I haven't talked to people and I haven't, again, like, it's not just the fact that I haven't been out of school, it's the fact that I haven't been around people. I feel like I would not put my hand up. I would not be I would not speak as much. I would not. And when we don't do that, like, people don't see our potential, They see our potential when we do things. And since we can't do that, we don't know what we can't give ourselves opportunities because we're kind of taking it away from ourselves. So, yeah. That's how I feel like when it comes to
I feel like Kaya has something to say.
I like a song.
The 1, 2, 1, 2.
Bringing up the topic of are you vaccinated, are you not vaccinated? Holy smokes. Like, if you really sit here and think about it, when you ask people that already it already triggers a conversation.
Yeah.
Because some people can feel like, oh, well, you're not vaccinated, you're the reason why, da-da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? And what if it's just like, fam, I can't take the vaccine. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing, I'm not saying, oh, like, people who are anti-vaxxers, da-da-da-da-da. But even then, if that's their opinion and that's what they want to do, then that's what they do. But even adding on to what Lax said, we as humans, we crave physical touch, we crave like relationships, and that's not actually what we're supposed to do. Like, our normal is not to having siblings isn't normal, having friends isn't normal, but because we crave that connection, that's how we formed it after years and years and years of just, you know, adaptation and things like that. So having that being said, and then also having that, we're already segregated as it is. When we sit here and we think about it, we're segregated unintentionally, because although we've tried to fight for whatever, it's a common, it happens, you know? And so now having anti-vax or you're vax, and it's giving me stress levels right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what I had to add.
Yeah, I think you guys are right. I think it's something to consider. And we got to think about then, you know, what can we do to ease that pain? Because it's already, we've already talked about, we've had 2 pandemics. I wouldn't just say one. I would say there's a pandemic, the health pandemic called, you know, COVID-19. And then there's the racial pandemic that we've been in for years, right? I'm not even going to go there right now. I'm not going to go there right now. Because it's right? I can't do that right now because I will be here all night. But those are real issues, right? And even with, you know, people coming back into school and trying to be more diverse and inclusive, how are we going to be diverse and inclusive and at the same time being segregated with the vax and the anti, like, it's just so much, and it causes a lot of separation where it's not necessary. You know what I'm saying? So I think that we need to think about what is going to be my disposition when I meet somebody. It's the same kind of thing when you think about it. When we talk about race, you know, we always talk about here at One Voice, One Team, Ubuntu, right? We talk about I am because you are, right? I am human because I see the human experience and the human in you. So when we do that, when we approach people like that, then okay, there's no lines drawn. There's no you and there's us, not us and them, right? We've got to take on that kind of perspective, I feel, when we go back into spaces with other people, because if not, it's definitely going to create that kind of stress and angst, right? What do you think teachers are going to need to have in respect to just coming into the classroom? Like, what supports let me put it this way, what supports do you feel young people are going to need based on what we've just finished saying? They're going to need support, right? 100%. Talk to me.
I think the biggest thing that teachers need to do is just, you know, have this just acceptance, basically. No matter how, what values, what views a child has or a person has, they've just got to be more accepting of it, regardless of their views. It kind of sucks, but I feel like teachers have to put on a front, no matter what their own views are, like whatever, like for instance, we're talking about anti-vaxxers and vaxxers, like teachers are individuals before they are teachers.
Right.
And whatever their views are, I feel like the way our society works and our system works, we're expecting them to change their views when they get into the classroom. So, for instance, you're not going to have a teacher that's going to, well, obviously in high school and university it's different because they're very real. But during middle school, elementary school, you're not going to have your elementary school teacher telling you, I'm an anti-vaxxer, because kids are so impressionable as well. So it's just, you have to be unbiased as possible. And then that also moves to acceptance. Kids are coming out of the pandemic. Some people have never, literally don't have any sort of contact with or communication with humans. There's, for instance, my niece, she was a pandemic baby. Her going to the grocery store, she stares at people because she's all she knows is her family. We've been in the house for this long. Right. All she knows is her family. These kids have lived 2 years without actually seeing people, regardless of how old they are, not just pandemic babies. You know, people in high school, they've gone how many years without seeing people? Teachers are going to have to form that connection. They're going to have to literally physically be like, Charn, Hasina, sit,
and talk to each other because
Mhm.
it hasn't happened in that long.
Mm.
So
Mm. Cool. Go ahead, Charlie.
Just to add on to that, like I'm a very like outgoing person and stuff like that, but like I'm also willing to make a fool out of myself to make sure everybody else around me is comfortable. So if that means like I go for a high five and you're like, no, and I'm just gonna Euro step around you, know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna make a fool out of myself because
Yeah.
it is what it is, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're not comfortable with like those physical touches, 'cause I'm one of those people like I got to dap you up, you know, like I
Mhm.
gotta have like a fist bump, like a high 5 a
Mhm.
handshake, something
Mhm.
like.
Mhm.
But like even like I knew teachers who like walk around like they gotta walk around those lanes and like university when those lecture they gotta walk around speak. They love like like hey Charm like what's up like they have that touch, but they gotta now adapt to that. Like I don't know if you're comfortable with me being in those lanes. So now some teachers who are really like kinesthetic and like move around a lot, they don't really use a presentation. They gotta be out there like adapting to the technology of it, right?
Mhm.
I knew this one teacher who like she couldn't use Zoom. So she used to like ask one of us, she's like, I'm gonna send you the presentation, could you please like put it up for me?
Mhm.
And that's a way to adapt, right? Like she didn't know how to do it. She was 66 or 67, something like that.
Wow.
But she's still a prof, right? She's adapting in ways she didn't ever like, you know, like it's like the Oksana said, you gotta adapt to evolve, right? So in that evolution, we're like bettering ourselves, and like it's just another process where like we gotta be understanding of some kids won't be like to like touch, and like I'm really like just not comfortable with like some kids might be separated like 2 seats from other kids,
Right.
Like in those big lecture of 250 students, there's no way everybody's gonna be sitting beside each other, right? So now teachers have to adapt to study more lectures and stuff like that, putting stress on their bodies, especially like at Laurier, they're doing certain classes are split up into 2 different classes. So there's a 250 lecture, it's gonna split up to 100 people, so everybody could have their own seat. There's gonna be no one beside you. That's just part of the adaptation like we have to go through
Yeah.
to get back to the norm or like the new norm, like we said. And teachers definitely are gonna have to like be like the bridge like between kids socializing. Like me and Lax, like somebody's gonna have to sit down like you guys gotta talk about.
Yeah.
Like there's no
That part.
right? There's no
Yeah.
there's no online stuff. You can't text in the chat secretly. Like it's not here. But you gotta learn the rules of the classroom too. Like who's like speaking or respecting. Because now you could text on the side and whatever this and that. But now you gotta learn the manners and rules and respect of all the classroom rules again. Right? So I feel like that's just gonna be the hardest part, is just that respect of like other people and learning back to that normal we haven't been through.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Sorry, can I just say one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
So one of the things I'm hearing is like, acceptance. I love that. That sounds so good. Doesn't that sound good? But how actually realistic
Is it?
Yeah.
is it?
For sure.
Because what kind of acceptance did we have before the pandemic? You know what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
Why we're in the situation that we're in right now. So it's like, it really is important for us to be able to say we need to, we want that from teachers or professors. But in order to actually have it, I feel like that's how I feel. Y'all gonna have to be the leaders of that. I feel like you're gonna have to show them how to do it, because I don't know if there's a lot of politics that go along with, just being in that space. But I feel like aside from all of the politics and all of the, red tape that goes along with being in that profession, and I know it's a huge, heavy role, right? I feel like the want to feel like I want to be accepting, or I want to do this for my students, whatever. I don't think that necessarily a lot of professors or teachers really know how to cross that line, because it's such a line, right? That if I cross over, is this going to be acceptable? Is this going to be okay? Is this is going to be allowed? You know what I'm saying? There's so many of that. You know what I'm trying to say? There's so much politicking, guys, and there's so much red line. There's so many restrictions in being a teacher, and I feel like at this point, there's only so much a teacher can do. So I feel like the acceptance is going to have to come from y'all. I feel like that. Go ahead, Alexandra.
I was just gonna say, when it comes to the topic of teachers and like anti-vaxxing or whatever, it's teachers kind of have to realize it's not for like older kids, not like probably like grade 12 and over, but for younger kids. Some of their kids only do things that their parents allow them to, so it's kind of hard even though it's hard, they kind of have to kind of separate the student from the student's parents, even though they might have different views than them. Because I know that one of my cousins, her mom doesn't really like vaccines,
Right.
but she can't go back to school unless she has it, and she's not allowed. So it's either she gets the vaccine and she doesn't have a house, or she doesn't get the vaccine and she has somewhere to live. So now when she can't go back to school, now these teachers are like, why aren't you coming? Like, you kind of have to do this. But the teacher kind of has to understand, like, it's not her decision, you know? She has like somebody older than them. So now it's like the talk of nature versus nurture when it comes to big topics like this, because it may be something small to like us, because I got to choose if I wanted the vaccine or not. Like, my parents had no say in it. But people that are younger that don't have the voice for themselves, it kind of, you know, sucks for them because they're not able to fend for themselves.